If you're wondering which Lamy fountain pen is the best, I'll have a few that I'm going to compare, and I'm going to tell you which one is the best. Hey everyone, I'm Dave with Beast Made Reviews, of course, a channel dedicated to reviewing quality at different price points. Now, a while back, I made a review about the Lamy Safari. The video was discussing if this was good, and if you haven't watched that one, definitely go and check out the video up here. After I made that video, I had a lot of requests for other fountain pens that Lamy makes, like the All-Star. So today, instead of just doing a comparison with the All-Star, I decided to do a comparison with a lot of them, 5 of them to be specific, and they all kind of look like the Safari. So I have the Safari, the All-Star, the Vista, the LX, and the Joy. And if you like this type of content about pens, why don't you consider subscribing? I think you'll really enjoy it here. I'll also have links down below to all of these pens. If you're looking for one of these pens, definitely go to the links down below. They are affiliate links, and they will help out the channel anytime you buy something through that. I always appreciate it when you do that. And I got all these pens through Gold Spot Pens. I bought these myself. This isn't a sponsored video. I really like Gold Spot, so I can highly recommend them. All right, now first let's talk about the Lamy Safari real quick. The Safari is Lamy's budget pen. It was released in 1980. It's very inexpensive, around the $20 to $30 mark, but it's really good. I really like this one a lot. The Safari, of course, is made of ABS plastic. It has a wire clip on the outside. It has what they call a tripod grip, which is kind of a sort of triangular shape grip there, which is love or hate for a lot of people. Love for me. It uses a Z28 cartridge converter, proprietary for Lamy, or proprietary ink cartridge. It has a really interesting, unique nib. It comes in a ton of different colors. The one I have here is a kind of sky blue color I got around the Easter season. It's 5.5 inches long, 17 grams in weight. The cap just pulls off. It's a click cap, and it is very postable, very balanced in the hand, either posted or not posted. The writing experience is great. It has one of the smoothest nibs I've ever tried of any line. Now, the click on the cap is kind of weak. You can't really hear that much of it. It's not very authoritative. It feels very light, which could be a pro or a con. For me, it's almost a con because it feels on the cheap side. I really like the writing experience with this. I like the stiffer nib that Lamys have. It's buttery smooth and stiff whenever you write with no flex at all. I really like that, though some might not. Some might not like the tripod grip either, but I really like it. Now, the writing sample that I'm showing here is with Private Reserve's Daphne Blue ink, which I really like. It's a great sky blue color that I think really matches well with this pen. And I'm writing on Rhodia graph paper. Overall, I love the Safari. You can find this in a ton of different colors. You can find the perfect color for you. Very lightweight, easy to use, great to write with. For the money, this offers probably the best experience for a writer for this price point, hands down. It's that good. It's super easy to recommend to anyone, especially if you're just starting off. For someone who doesn't know if they're going to like a fountain pen, I usually always recommend the Lamy. I really like this pen, and for under $30, it is a wonderful pen, a steal of a pen. I think everyone should have one, just as kind of one of those pens they don't mind losing, because it's a great writer, very inexpensive, and is fantastic overall. Just a great value. But Lamy did not stop there. Now, pretty soon after the Safari launch, they launched the Vista. And the Vista obviously is a clear pen. It's called a demonstrator pen because you can see what's inside it. And the Vista is virtually identical to the Safari in almost every way except that it's clear. So same nib, same converter, same size, same weight, even the same bad click. Now, even though this is a clear pen, you cannot eyedropper this, which is kind of a downside. It has actual windows in the side, and the windows are holes, so if you put any ink in there, it'll just fall out. But I still really like the Vista. If you like those kind of clear pens, this is definitely one to look out for. Again, about the same price as the Safari, so if you're on the fence about either getting a Safari or getting the Vista, it's functionally identical. Now, the writing sample that I'm showing you here is just the standard blue ink cartridge that comes with Lamys. I don't really like their blue, but I just wanted to show what it looked like, just so you can see what the writing experience is like. And the nib that I'm showing here is in broad, to show you a little bit of different variation in the sizes. If you like the Safari, you'll love the Vista. It's great. It's a great demonstrator, clear pen, really cool. Definitely check that one out. Now, the next release in the series was the Lamy All-Star. This has probably been the one that has been most requested from subscribers. Now, the All-Star is very similar to the Safari again, but there are some minor differences here. First of all, the outside of it is different. It's made of aluminum, AL, hence the name All-Star, or I guess Al-Star, and it has a few slight changes in the design. The cap is actually a little bit wider, it's slightly longer than the Safari, and of course it's a little bit heavier than the Safari because it's made of aluminum. But I would never know that because it looks functionally identical to the Safari and the Vista that preceded it. One interesting thing about it is that because the cap is a little bit bigger, the cap actually has a better click on there, believe it or not. Now, it's not the best I've ever heard, but it is a lot better than the other one. It has more of an authoritative click. If I were to have these two in my hands, I still might not even be able to tell the differences in the dimensions and the design. They're so much alike. They use all the same parts. Nibs, converter, cartridge, they can all be used interchangeably. And I think that's a great pro here because, again, it has a great nib on this. And I like the cartridge converter as well. I think that's a pretty good design. Now, it is a little bit heavier than the Safari, and I think that kind of lends in its favor. It feels a little bit more premium. It's not super heavy, and you might not even be able to tell, but there's just something about it that doesn't feel like plastic, so it has a better feel on the hand. Still very balanced, even with it capped, and like the Safari, there are a ton of colors you can choose from, even limited editions as well. The one that I'm showing you here is in the color called Petrol. Now for the writing sample, I'm using the medium nib on this, and I'm using the ink from Organic Studio called Walden, which is a dark teal color with a ton of sheen. I really love this ink a lot. Now with the improvements, you might think that this is going to be a lot more money than the Safari, but it's still very affordable. At under $40, I think this is still a bargain pen. This is a great pen and a great value. It's a great upgrade to the Safari design without breaking the bank. And I really love the metal barrel and cap. The addition of that metal just by itself really adds an upgrade and improvement on the design without charging that much more money for it. Now, around 2016, they released another pen in the line, and that one was the LX. Now, the LX is supposed to be a more premium version of the All-Star, and it's in the same family as the Safari and the All-Star, but I think this is more of a comparison to the All-Star because it's metal, and it has the same dimensions as the All-Star. Now, because this is a more premium version, they name a lot of the colors after precious metals or precious materials. The one that I'm showing here is in rose gold, and despite the name, this is actually in aluminum. The cap and the barrel are actually aluminum, but they say the trim is in rose gold. I don't know if that just means the color rose gold or if it's actually rose gold. I'm thinking it's probably just the color. It's got to be. And again, like the Safari and the All-Star, this one has all the same parts. You can even interchange the caps of the All-Star and the LX if you really wanted to. I don't know why you would want to. You would be a monster if you did, but there you go. One thing they changed in the design, though, is that the grip section and the nib are black, which I think is a pretty cool change there. It actually adds a little bit of contrast to the design, makes it look a little bit nicer, I think, than having just one color on there. And for the writing sample here, I'm using the medium nib on this with the ink from Diamine called Writer's Blood, which is a great red ink, one of my favorites. It has a kind of reddish brown color, great red ink. Overall, there's not much more to say about the LX. Like the Vista being a rebranded Safari, this is really mostly just a rebrand of the All-Star, but at a higher price. Now, the price on this is $60 or under $60, and even then, at the more premium version of this, that still is not a lot of money for a pen like this. But seeing as how you can spend easily hundreds of dollars on a really well-made fountain pen, something for $60 like that that is really well made, I think is a very good value. My only problem, though, is that it doesn't really offer anything that's different from the All-Star other than maybe just different colors. The only other thing that it offers of value is a different case, which you could see as a box or you could see as just a carrying case since it's metal as well. I'm going to choose to say it's an added value feature and say it's a case, but I don't really love it. It's just an overly large, cumbersome case-looking thing. It doesn't really add much value, but if you like it, maybe that can add a little bit of value to your purchase here. It's a great pen, and at this price, if the All-Star and the Safari and Vista did not exist, this would be a steal of a pen. But because the other pens exist, this looks like almost a waste of money when you can buy an All-Star for, $30, $40. So as it stands, it just seems like a more expensive version for no reason. Now, because of Lamy's presence in the pen world, especially with how popular these pens have become, they decided to make another pen in their lineup and go after the calligraphy market, and that is with the pen they call call the Joy. But they made a fundamental flaw when they made the Joy pen, and that is the fact that calligraphy pens are usually dip pens. But the Joy isn't a dip pen, it's just a longer version of the Safari. It uses the same nib and feed, it uses the same cartridge converter and cartridge system, even coming with different cartridges with the pen itself. It's just longer and has a different barrel on the outside. It even has the same cap. It's a weird design here. You might even think that this comes with different nibs that only come with the Joy for calligraphy use, but that's not the case either. It just comes with a regular nib, and you can get any of the other nibs and use them for your Safari or All-Star or Vista or what have you. It really doesn't do anything that the other pens can't do better. So personally, I would just say pass on the Joy, get a Safari or a Vista if you're looking for this type of pen. All right, now let me go over the nibs real quick. I've already mentioned the nibs and the different sizes and variety that they have. Lamy has a great ecosystem for nibs. They have a lot of different nibs that you can use and choose from. They even have like left-handed versions or beginners versions, asymmetrical versions. They have some really interesting choices here, and I bought a few of them to show you and kind of compare what they look like. So I got a fine, medium, broad, have a 1.1 stub, and then a 1.9 stub. They have a few other ones that are in between, but I wanted to kind of get maybe the more popular versions so you can see what the nib sizes look compared to each other. Now, a few things I took from this. First, I love the nibs themselves. They are easily the smoothest production nibs out of the box that I've ever tried. Like I've mentioned, they're stiff with no flex or bounce, and I actually prefer that. And I love their medium size. It's not too thick, and it's not fine like some mediums are. The broad is also really nice, and it seems maybe a small bump up from a medium, not too juicy. It's almost hard to distinguish the broad between the medium here. Now the 1.1 stub is a great size, but it's also very smooth, which is a great benefit for stub pens. Sometimes they can be really scratchy. The 1.9 definitely looks like a stub. It's very broad, very juicy, but it's still also very smooth, which is fantastic. Overall, I love the nibs. I think personally my favorite still is the medium. I know it's the most vanilla out of all the choices here, but I really like it a lot. Now, Lamy has been a beloved line of pens for decades, and I can really see why. They offer a lot of value for what you get out of their pens. I think maybe one criticism with their line is that a lot of these kind of look the same, and I totally get that. But I like that they offer a lot of variety in colors, they offer a lot of variety with nibs, and everything you get from them is top notch. Everything is perfect in their quality. There's no flashing, there's no sharp edges. Everything is buttery smooth, and that's really hard to get every single time. And all of these nibs have been that smooth, even the fine, even the stubs. That is really hard. That's really a testament to their quality process. They really care about pens. If they put this much time, care, quality into their lower price pens, then I know that their higher end pens are going to be fantastic. For me, my suggestions still hold pretty true. I think if you're a beginner and you don't really know what to do, I would definitely go for a Safari. Safari is easy to recommend because it's so inexpensive. It's not going to break the bank at all. And if you like fountain pens at all, you'll find out with Safari. And if you don't like this, you won't like fountain pens. You'll just know right away. I still recommend the Safari even for experienced users, just to have as a throwaway pen if you want to travel or if you want to keep it at your desk, or maybe even lend it off to someone. But personally, I think my favorite pen out of this line is easily the All-Star. The All-Star just gets everything perfect right away. I love everything about the experience that I loved about the Safari, but it's just a little bit more upgraded. And because it's not much more money, but offers even some more additional benefits in return, I think this is probably just the best buy overall. And to be honest, the All-Star may be one of my favorite pens of all time. It's just that good. I mean, seriously, it is just a fantastic pen. Even without the affordable price, they're great writing instruments and they're just a pleasure to use. Lamy is a great company and they make great pens. Definitely check them out, but definitely skip the Joy. That pen sucks. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you next time. What do you think of Lamy? Which Lamy is your favorite? Thank you again for watching. I'll see you next time. I'm Dave with Beast Made Reviews. Bye.